Checking manual muscle testing for elbow flexion. My patient is standing, his shoulder is adducted, his forearm is extended, and his hand is supinated. I'm gonna stabilize him at the humerus, and I'm gonna palpate the biceps, and I'm gonna tell him to bring his hand all the way to the shoulder. Can you bring your hand? Okay. I felt the muscle contracting. That's why I'm giving him 3. I'm gonna see to see if he's stronger than 3. So I'm gonna put my hand over here, and I'm gonna ask my patient to, I'm gonna try to push you down, don't let me. So he's giving me resistance, 3 plus, 4. He's giving me more resistance, and it's 5. I was stabilizing at the humerus all the time. Okay? Manual muscle testing, 3 minus. The patient is standing straight with the shoulder adducted, with the elbow extended, and the wrist supinated. I'm gonna ask my patient to bring the arm to the shoulder, and I'm gonna palpate over here and stabilize the humerus. Can you please bring your elbow up? Good. So my patient couldn't do the full movement all the way up. He stopped at about 110 degrees, and then he fell. He didn't have full range of motion, and he's under gravity, and that's why he's 3 minus. Hi, we're gonna check your manual muscle testing today for your elbow flexion. So I have my patient laying down supine on the bed. His shoulder is at 90 degrees angle. The elbow is extended, and the hand is supinated. I'm stabilizing my patient underneath the humerus, and I'm gonna palpate the belly of the muscle, and I'm gonna ask my patient, can you please bring your hand towards the shoulder? Okay, I felt the muscle contracting, and my patient had full range of motion. That's why I'm grading him 2. He's gravity eliminated. We're gonna do the next level now. I'm gonna stabilize my patient, and I'm gonna, since I know that he's a 2 now, I'm gonna add a little bit of resistance. So I'm gonna stabilize him underneath the humerus. I'm gonna apply some force in the volar aspect of proximal to the wrist, distal to the humerus, and I'm gonna tell my patient, I'm gonna try to pull you towards me, don't let me, okay? So I felt his resistance. He had 2 plus, okay? And then he was breaking. That's why I'm grading him 2 plus. Okay, we're gonna do the next level now. I'm gonna stabilize my patient underneath, same position. And I'm gonna palpate the belly of the muscle. And I'm gonna tell my patient, can you please bring your hand towards the shoulder? My patient didn't have full range of motion. I did feel the muscle move. That's why I'm gonna grade him at 2 minus. We're gonna go to the next level. I'm gonna stabilize my patient's hand underneath at the humerus. And I'm gonna tell my patient, can you please bring your hand towards your shoulder? I only felt the twitch of the muscle. That's why I'm gonna grade him 1. And we're gonna go to the next level now. Can you please bring your hand towards your shoulder? There was no twitch, no contraction of the muscle, and no movement of the joint. That's why I'm grading him at 0. Manual muscle testing for 3 minus. My patient is prone on the bed. His shoulder is at 90 degrees angle. His forearm is at 90 degrees, and his hand is perpendicular to the floor. I'm stabilizing him on the biceps, on the humerus, and I'm gonna palpate the muscle. I'm gonna ask my patient, please bring your arm out. Okay, so my patient had more than half of the full range of motion, and that's why I'm gonna grade him 3 minus. We're gonna do the manual muscle testing for elbow extension. So my patient is prone on the bed. His arm is at 90 degrees angle. Can you move a little bit of it inside? Good. 90 degrees. and his elbow is extended. The hand is perpendicular to the floor. I'm going to palpate the triceps and I'm going to ask my patient, can you please move your hand towards the floor and backward. Okay, I felt his triceps. He had full range of motion, and that's why I'm grading him 3. Now we're going to do the next movement. I'm going to continue with the same position. The arm is perpendicular to the floor. The shoulder is at 90 degrees and the forearm is extended. I'm going to stabilize at the humerus and I'm going to apply some resistance while the hand is extended. And I'm going to tell my patient, I'm going to try to push you down, but don't let me push you down, okay? Hold that resistance. So I'm pushing 3 plus, 4, and then 5, you could take it. That's why I'm going to grade him 5. I'm going to do the other grades right now. So I'm going to try to push my patient again. I'm pushing him down. He's not breaking, so that's 3 plus, 4. And at 4 he was breaking, so that's a 4. And now I'm going to try to give him a little bit of a push and then he's going to break. I'll try to push you down, don't let me, okay? So I'm pushing my patient down a little bit and then he breaks. So that's a 3 plus. Okay. We're going to do some manual muscle testing for elbow extension under gravity, with gravity eliminated. So my patient is supine on the bed. His arm is abducted into 90 degrees angle. His elbow is extended and his hand is externally rotated and supine. I'm going to stabilize him underneath the humerus and I'm going to palpate the triceps with my 2 fingers and I'm going to observe to see the movement. Can you please bring your hands all the way to your shoulder? Okay, my patient was able to bring the hand all the way. That's why I'm going to grade him at 2. He got 2 because the gravity is eliminated. He has full range of motion of the arm and there was no resistance added. So I'm going to move on. After I graded him 2, I want to see if he's stronger. So I'm going to apply a little bit of resistance. I'm continuing to stabilize at the humerus and I'm going to apply the resistance as the hand is extended. And I'm going to tell my patient, I'm going to try to push you down. Please hold that position. Don't let me push you down. Okay? So I'm pushing down. My patient is giving me a little bit of resistance. So that's going to be 2 plus because he broke after the little bit of resistance. And that's why I'm grading him 2 plus. I'm going to move on. I see that he's 2 plus. I'm moving down the grades. My hand is continuing to stabilize the radius, the humerus, and the elbow is extended. The hand is externally rotated. And I'm going to tell my patient, can you please bring your hand towards your shoulder? Okay, my patient didn't have full range of motion. And that's why I'm grading him 2 minus. I'm going to move on to the next level. My hand is underneath the humerus. I'm going to tell my patient, can you please bring your hand towards your shoulder? I only felt a twitch of the muscle. That's why I'm going to grade him 1, or a twitch. And then I'm going to move on. My hand is here at the humerus. I'm going to tell my patient, please bring your hand towards your shoulder. I saw that there was no movement and no twitch of the muscle, no contraction. And that's why I'm going to grade him at 0. Okay, so we're doing supination, forearm supination. My patient is sitting at the edge of the bed. His shoulder is abducted. His elbow is flexed at 90 degrees and his hand is pronated. I'm going to stabilize him at the humerus. And I'm going to palpate his biceps. And I'm going to ask my patient, please turn your hand over to face the ceiling. Okay, so I felt the muscle move. My patient had full range of motion, and I'm going to grade him 3. Now I'm going to see if he's stronger. So I'm going to continue stabilizing him at the humerus, and I'm going to try to give him resistance. I'm going to try to push you to the other direction, And don't let me, my hand is at the volar aspect of his forearm. And I'm trying to push him, and I'm reaching 3 plus, 4, I'm applying more force, and he's at 5. Good. All right, we're doing forearm supination, gravity reduced, with my patient seated at the desk, at the table. His shoulder is adducted, his forearm is at 90 degrees, and his hand is pronated. I'm going to stabilize him at the humerus and palpate his biceps, and I'm going to tell my patient to turn his hand over, facing the wall. Good. I saw that he has full range of motion. That's why I'm going to grade him at 2. I'm going to see if he's a little bit stronger. That's why I'm going to continue stabilizing him at the humerus, and I'm going to apply a little bit of resistance. I'm going to try to push you, but don't let me, okay? Hold my push. Okay, see that he's holding, and then he was breaking. So I'm going to grade him at 2 plus. I'm going to move on to 2 minus. I'm going to stabilize my patient at the humerus, and I'm going to ask my patient to move the arm while palpating. So can you please move your arm? Okay, there is some movement, but not full range of motion. He had some movement. That's why I'm going to grade him at 2 minus. We're going to move on. I'm stabilizing the humerus here, palpating the muscle, and I'm going to tell my patient, please move your arm towards the wall. There was only a twitch of the muscle. I didn't see any movement. That's why I'm grading him trace 1. And let's keep going. I'm going to tell my patient, can you please move your hand towards the wall? There was no contraction of the muscle, no movement. That's why I'm grading him as flaccid 0. So we're doing forearm pronation. My patient is seated at the edge of the bed. His shoulder is adducted, elbow at 90 degrees. His hand is supinated. I'm going to stabilize him at the humerus, and I'm going to palpate at the volar aspect of the forearm. And I'm going to tell my patient, can you please turn your hand to the floor, facing the floor? Okay, I felt the muscle move, and my patient had full range of motion. That's why I'm going to give him 3. I'm going to add a little bit of resistance. So I'm going to continue stabilizing the humerus, and I'm going to apply force from the dorsal side of the forearm, and I'm going to tell my patient, I'm going to try to push you, but don't let me, okay? So I'm pushing him, that's 3 plus. I'm continuing to push, that's 4. I'm giving even more force, and that's 5. That's it. So we're measuring the manual muscle testing with under gravity for the forearm pronation. So my patient is sitting at the edge of the bed, his shoulder is adducted, elbow is at 90 degrees, his hand is pronate, supinated, and I'm gonna stabilize him at the humerus, and I'm gonna palpate the volar aspect of the forearm, and I'm gonna tell my patient, can you please turn your hand to the floor? And I see that my patient doesn't have full range of motion. He has more than half. That's why I'm going to grade him 3 minus. Okay, manual muscle testing for shoulder flexion. My patient is seated at the edge of the bed. Her shoulder is adducted. Her forearm is relaxed, and her hands are pronated with the palms back. I'm going to stabilize her at the shoulder, and I'm going to palpate the anterior deltoid right underneath the clavicle. And I'm going to tell my patient, bring your arm at 90 degrees in front of you. Good, I felt the muscle. I'm going to grade my patient at 3 since she went through the full range of motion. I'm going to continue stabilizing her shoulder, and I'm going to apply resistance at the distal end of the radius, and I'm going to try to push you down. Don't let me, okay? So 3 plus, 4, and 5. Okay? We're going to do 3 minus now. So I'm going to continue to stabilize her. I'm going to palpate the muscle and I'm going to tell my patient, please bring your arm in front of you. Okay, so she had more than half of the range of motion, a little bit more than half over here. And I'm going to grade her 3 minus. If she had a little bit less than that, that would have been 2 plus. So put your arm down, bring your hand in front of you, a little bit less. Okay, so that's going to be 2 plus. Thank you. Okay, so we're doing shoulder flexion, manual muscle testing with reduced gravity. The patient is sidelined, her shoulder is adducted, her forearm is relaxed, and her hands are pronated. I'm stabilizing her at the shoulder, and I'm going to palpate at the anterior deltoids. I'm going to tell my patient, please bring your arm at 90 degrees in front of you. Okay, the patient has full range of motion with reduced gravity, so I'm giving her a 2. I felt the muscle working, contracting. Okay, so I'm going to add some resistance to see if she's stronger. I'm going to continue stabilizing at the shoulder. I'm going to tell my patient, please bring your arm to 90 degrees again. I'm going to give you a little bit of resistance. I'll try to push you. Don't let me, okay? Try to hold that position. Okay, so I'm pushing her. She's at 2 plus. She gave me a little bit of resistance. Okay, so we're going to test and see the other grades. I'm going to continue to stabilize here. Palpate at the anterior deltoid. Please bring your arm in front of you. That's too much. Go a little bit lower. Okay, now she's 2 minus. Okay, we're going to do grade 1. I'm stabilizing my patient here. Anterior deltoids, and please bring your arm in front of you. There was no movement, only a twitch of the muscle. That's why I'm giving her a trace. And we're going to do 0 now. Stabilizing, palpating at the anterior deltoid. Please bring your arm in front of you. No movement, no twitching, no contraction of the muscle. That's why I'm giving her flaccid 0. Okay, we're doing shoulder extension. My patient is prone. Her shoulder is adducted, her elbow is relaxed, and her palm is facing the ceiling, pronated. I'm going to stabilize her at the shoulder, and I'm going to find her teres major, which is right here, along the axillary border of the scapula. And I'm going to ask my patient to please bring your arm up as much as you can. Okay, good. I actually felt the muscle and I felt the contraction of the muscle, the primary mover, so you can bring it down. She has full range of motion, and that's why I'm going to give her 3. So I'm going to check to see if she's stronger than that. I'm going to apply some resistance. So I'm going to continue to stabilize the shoulder, and I'm going to push some resistance at the distal end of the humerus. So I'm going to tell her, I'm going to try to push you down. Don't let me, okay? So I'm pushing her at 3 plus 4, and she broke down at 4. So I'm going to continue to see if she's stronger than that. I'm going to apply a little bit more pressure, and I'm going to try to push you. Don't let me. 3 plus 4, 5. She broke at 5. So I'm going to grade her 5. And that's it. Okay, so we're doing 3 minus for shoulder extension. I'm stabilizing the shoulder, and I'm gonna palpate the muscle, which is the teres major of the axillary border of the scapula. I'm gonna tell my patient, please bring your arm as much as you can. So she doesn't have full range of motion. She only was able to go more than half of the available range of motion. That's why I'm gonna grade her 3 minus. Can you put it down? Okay, we're doing shoulder extension. My patient is sideline. Her shoulder are adducted, her elbow is relaxed, and her hands are pronated. I'm going to stabilize her shoulder, and I'm going to palpate her teres major. I'm going to tell my patient, please bring your arm towards me. Okay, she had less than half of the available range of motion. That's why I'm going to give her 2 minus. We're gonna move ahead to the next grade. Please bring your arm towards me. All the way, all the way. Bring it towards me. She had full range of motion under gravity, so I'm gonna give her 2. So I'm gonna see now if she's stronger than that. So I'm gonna apply resistance. I'm taking out my hand and I'm gonna apply resistance over here at the distal hand of the humerus. And I'm gonna tell my patient, please push your hand to the back towards me. So I'm going to apply some resistance. I'm going to try to push you. Don't let me, okay? So I'm pushing. I felt her resistance. She broke after a little bit of resistance. So I'm giving her 2+. We're doing shoulder abduction. So my patient is sitting at the edge of the bed. Her shoulder is abducted. Her forearm is relaxed. And her arms are at neutral. I'm going to stabilize her shoulder. And I'm going to palpate her middle deltoid. I'm going to tell her, please bring your arm at 90 degrees to the side of your body. Good. I felt her muscle contracting. She has very strong muscles. And she was able to go the full 90 degrees. So I'm going to give her 3. Now I'm going to apply some resistance to see if she's stronger than 3. So I'm going to continue to stabilize her here. And I'm going to apply the resistance here at the distal part of the humerus. I'm going to tell her, please, I'm going to try to push you. Don't let me, okay? So I'm giving her some resistance. She was breaking after a little bit of resistance. She's 3+. Now I'm going to give her some more resistance. I'm going to try to push you. Don't let me. 3. No. 3+. 4. She was, again, you're going to break at 4, okay? So I'm going to push her down, 3+. And at 4, she was breaking. Now we're going to do 5. Hold this position, okay? Don't let me push you. I'm going to try to push you. 3+, 4. No, hold it. Hold down. 3+, 4, 5. She was breaking at 5, so I'm going to grade her 5 out of 5. 3- is when I'm going to stabilize the shoulder. I'm going to palpate the muscle, and I'm going to tell my patient, please bring your arm to the side at 90 degrees. A little bit more, okay? Okay, so my patient has a little bit over half of the range of motion, so she's a 3-. Now we're going to do 2+. Please bring your arm to the side of your body. So she had less than half of the range of motion, so I'm giving her 2+. Okay, we're doing shoulder abduction with gravity reduced. So my patient is supine on her back, her shoulder is adducted, her elbow is extended, and her palms are at neutral. The wrist is at neutral. I'm going to palpate the middle deltoid, and I'm going to ask my patient, please bring your hand at 90 degrees. Okay, she couldn't bring her arm, only a little bit, so I'm going to grade her 2-. Okay, now I'm going to continue. Please bring your arm towards me at 90 degrees. Okay, all the way. So this time she was able to bring it, so I'm going to grade her a 2. And now we're going to do the 1. Okay, so please bring your arm towards me. There was only a twitch of the muscle, so I'm going to give her a trace. And we're going to do 0. Please bring your arm towards me. There was no movement, no twitch, no contraction of the muscles, so I'm going to grade her 0. We're going to do 2+ now. So please bring your arm towards me at the full range of motion. All the way. Good. So I see that I observed and I saw she has full range of motion. I'm going to apply resistance at the distal part of the humerus. And I'm going to tell my patient, I'm going to try to push you and break your position. Don't let me break your position. So I'm applying some resistance, and then she's breaking. So I'm giving her 2+. Okay, so we're doing manual muscle testing, external rotation. My patient is prone. That's her position. Her shoulder is at 90 degrees. Her hand is hanging over the edge, and her hand is perpendicular to the floor. I'm gonna stabilize her underneath at the humerus, and I'm gonna palpate the teres minor over here, and I'm gonna tell my patient, please bring your arm all the way up as much as you can. Good. So I see that I can actually feel the muscle moving. So I'm gonna move my hand, and I see that my patient has full range of motion. That's why I'm gonna grade her 3. I'm gonna apply some resistance to see if she's stronger. So I'm gonna bring her to this position, and I'm gonna tell her, I'm gonna try to break your position, don't let me. So I'm gonna try to push you down, don't let me, okay? So I'm applying a little bit of resistance, and I see she's taking it, 3 plus, 4. She was breaking at 4, now we're gonna do 5. I'm gonna push you down, don't let me. 3 plus, 4, and 5. She broke at 5. Now we're gonna do 3 minus. My patient is still on her back. Stabilizing her shoulder, her humerus, and I'm going to palpate the teres minor, and I'm going to tell her, please bring your hand up as much as you can. Bring it more. Okay, she has a little bit over half of the available range of motion. That's why I'm going to give her 3 minus. This is internal rotation. My patient is prone on her back. Her position is at 90 degrees. Her elbow is at the side of the bed, and her hand is perpendicular to the floor. I'm gonna stabilize her at the humerus here, distal end of the humerus, and I'm gonna palpate the teres major. I'm gonna tell my patient, please bring your hand towards me. I actually felt the muscle moving, and I see she has full range of motion, so I'm gonna give her 3. I'm gonna see if she's stronger, and I'm gonna apply some resistance. So I continue to stabilize here, and I'm gonna try to break your position, but don't let me, okay? So I'm gonna press down, 3 plus, 4, 5. So if she would break at 3 plus, she would be 3 plus. If she would break at 4, she would be 4. She broke at 5, so I'm gonna grade her 5. Now 3 minus is I'm continuing to stabilize her humerus. And I'm gonna continue palpating here. I'm gonna ask my patient, please bring your hand towards me. She has a little bit over half of the range of motion, so I'm gonna grade her 3 minus. She didn't have full range of motion. So we're gonna start with external rotation under gravity with gravity reduced, and then internal rotation with gravity reduced. So my patient is sitting with 90 degrees angle. Her elbow is at 90 degrees. Shoulder is adducted, and the wrist is in neutral. I'm gonna stabilize over here at the humerus, and I'm gonna palpate with my 2 fingers at the axillary, at the teres major, and I'm gonna tell my patient, please bring your arm towards me. Okay, I actually felt the muscle, and I saw her movement. She had full range of motion, so I'm gonna grade her a 2. I'm going to see if she's stronger than that, so I'm going to apply some resistance. And I'm going to tell the patient, I'm going to try to push you, and don't let me, okay? So I'm going to apply some resistance, and then she breaks, I'm going to grade her 2 plus. Now we're going to go down the level. We're going to do 2 minus. I'm going to continue having my hand here at the humerus, and I'm going to tell my patient, please move your arm towards me. And drop. Okay, so she had less than full range of motion, less than half of the full. That's why I'm giving her 2 minus. And now we're gonna do 1. So please bring your hand towards me. I only felt a twitch of the muscle while I'm palpating. I feel a twitch, and there was no movement. So I'm gonna give her trace, and let's do 0. Please bring your arm towards me. There was no twitch or contraction, so she's at 0. She's flaccid. Now we're going to do internal rotation. So the arm stays here at 90 degrees. I'm going to stabilize the humerus, and I'm going to palpate the teres minor. And I'm going to tell my patient, please bring your arm toward your belly. Okay, bring it back. Okay, so she was able to do it. she's a 2 because gravity is reduced. I'm going to apply the resistance and I'm going to try to break the movement. I'm going to try to push you. Don't let me, okay? So I'm pushing, you're breaking, and then she's 2. She's 2 plus because I applied the resistance. Now we're going to do 3 minus. I'm going to continue to stabilize the humerus. And I'm going to ask my patient, please bring your hand towards your body. Okay, so she flapped, she couldn't do the whole movement. So she's a 2 minus. We're going to do 1 now. So please bring your hand towards your body. She couldn't move. I only felt the twitch. So I'm going to give her a trace. And with 0, there is no movement, and no twitch, and no contraction. Okay, so we're going to do wrist extension with radial deviation. So my patient arm is on the table. She's sitting with the forearm resting on the table in pronation. Her wrist is in neutral position and her fingers are relaxed. I'm going to stabilize her over the mid forearm, and I'm going to palpate the extensor carpi radialis and extensor carpi radialis brevis on the dorsal aspect of the wrist at the base of the 2nd and 3rd metacarpal, which is right here. I found my spot. Let's show it to the camera. Okay. And I'm going to tell my patient to bring her hand up and towards her thumb. Okay. So I saw my patient has full range of motion. I felt the muscle contracting. And now I'm going to try to push and give her some resistance. So I'm going to try to push you down. Don't let me, okay? I'm going to try to hold your position. I'm going to try to push towards the ulnar deviation. And she was breaking with a little bit of resistance. So now she has 3 plus. We're going to try it again. I'm going to try to break you. Try to stay at 5, okay? So I'm giving her 3 plus, 4, and now 5. Okay, so she got 5 out of 5 because she was holding the max resistance. Now we're going to do radial wrist extension with radial deviation with gravity reduced. So her hand is going to be in mid position. Her fingers are relaxed. I'm going to stabilize her over the mid forearm over here. And I'm going to palpate for the extensor carpi radialis and carpi radialis brevis tendons on the base of the 2nd and 3rd metacarpal. And I'm going to observe. I'm going to tell the patient, please bring your hand, flex your hand towards your thumb. Bring your hand up toward your thumb. Good. I felt the muscle. I'm going to give her a tube since it's gravity reduced. I'm going to take my hand out and I'm going to apply some resistance towards ulnar deviation. And she broke after a little bit of resistance, so I'm going to give her 2 plus. 2 minus is going to be her not doing the full movement. So can you please show me how you're doing 2 minus? No, a little bit less. 2 minus is a little bit of movement, not full. Okay, and then she drops. So after a little bit of movement, she drops. It's a 2 minus. Let's do trace. Trace is only a twitch of the muscle. She didn't do any movement. And let's do flaccid. There was no twitch and no contraction of the muscle. This way. There was no twitch and no contraction of the muscle. That's it. Okay, so we're working on wrist flexion with radial deviation. My patient is sitting at the table. Her elbow is at 90 degrees. Her hand is supined on the table. And her wrist is in neutral position. Her fingers are relaxed. I'm going to stabilize over the mid forearm, over here. And I'm going to palpate at the flexor carpi radialis tendon at the base of the 2nd metacarpal, which is right over here. I'm going to go down and I'm going to find her flexor carpi radialis tendon. I'm going to observe. I'm going to tell my patient, please bring your hand up towards your tongue. Okay, I felt the tendon and I saw that she has full range of motion, so I'm going to grade her 3. Now I'm going to apply a little bit of resistance. I'm going to place my hand over here on the palm of her hand and I'm going to start counting. And please, I'm going to try to maintain your position and don't let me move you, okay? 3 plus, 4, 5. I was pushing towards the ulnar side. Now we're going to do, if she was breaking at 5, then I would grade her 5. Then if she was breaking at 4 plus, I would grade her 4 plus, 4. And then if she would break at 3 plus, I would grade her 3 plus. 3 minus is like this when the patient doesn't have full range of motion. I'm gonna maintain my palpation. Please bring your hand up. So she doesn't have full range of motion. Please bring your hand up again. Okay. She has a little bit over half of the range of motion, so it's 3 minus. We're gonna do gravity reduced. Her wrist is in mid position on the ulnar border, and the wrist is in neutral. Her fingers are relaxed. I'm going to stabilize on the ulnar border of the forearm, supporting the wrist, and I'm going to palpate the muscle. I'm going to tell my patient, please bring your hand towards your thumb and high towards the ceiling and towards your thumb. Okay, so I felt the muscle and I saw that she has movement, the full movement. I'm going to grade her a 2. I'm going to apply the resistance. Hold on. I'm going to apply the resistance. I'm going to try to push you. Don't let me. So I'm applying 2 plus, and then she's breaking. I'm going to grade her 2 plus. And then for 1, I'm going to keep her hand this way. I'm going to palpate, and I'm going to tell her, please bring your hand up towards the ceiling and towards your thumb. She couldn't move it. I only felt the twitch, so she's at 1, and 0 is when she doesn't have twitch and no movement, and I would give her flaccid 0. Okay, so we're doing MCP flexion. The position is the patient is sitting with the forearm resting on the table in supination. Her wrist is neutral in neutral position. Her MP are extended. Her IPs are flexed. I'm going to stabilize her proximal MP joint in the palm of her hand. I'm going to palpate the first dorsal interosseous muscle, just medial to the distal aspect of the second metacarpal on the dorsum side of the hand. And I'm going to observe. And I'm going to tell my patient, please flex your finger, bend your finger towards my hand. I felt the muscle moving and I saw she has full range of motion. So I'm going to apply some resistance. I'm applying the resistance on the between the MCP and the PIP joint. And I'm going to start grading her. 3 plus, 4, 5, and she was breaking at 5. That's it. Okay, so we're doing PIP flexion. The position is where patient is sitting, forearm resting on the table in supination. Her wrist is in neutral, her MP extended, and her IPs are extended. I'm going to stabilize between the MP and the PIP joint, which is here. And I'm going to palpate the flexor digitorum superficialis on the volar aspect of the proximal phalanx, which is right here. I'm going to do 3 chuck jaw. No, don't flex yet. And I'm going to place my hand here to palpate and to stabilize. I'm going to observe and I'm going to ask my patient, please flex the finger over here. Try to flex it. Bend your finger towards your body. Try to bend it. No, bend your finger. Bend like this. Bend. Good. Okay, so I felt the palpation of the muscle and I saw the movement. I'm going to give my patient 3 since she's under full gravity and she has full range of motion. Now I'm going to apply resistance at the PAP, between the PAP and the DAP joint. And I'm going to tell my patient, I'm going to try to pull you and break your position, but don't let me. So I'm pushing 3 plus, 4, 5, and she was breaking at 5. So I'm going to grade her 5. If she was 3 plus, I would apply the resistance. I'm going to try to push you, don't let me. Can you not let me? 3 plus and you're breaking. And 4 is when she's breaking at 4. 3 minus is when she doesn't have full range of motion, only a little bit more than half of the available range of motion. Can you please do it? Okay, that's 3 minus. Okay, we're doing DAP flexion. My patient is sitting with the forearm resting on the table in supine. Her wrist is in neutral and her MPs are extended. Her IPs are extended. I'm stabilizing her between the PAP and the DAP joint in the middle phalanx. So it's going to be like a 3-jaw chuck. I'm going to palpate the flexor digitorum profundus on the volar aspect of the middle phalanx. And I'm going to, that finger is also stabilizing and palpating. I'm going to observe and I'm going to tell my patient, please bend your finger as much as you can. The tip of your finger. This finger. Okay. So I felt the movement and I saw it. So I'm going to grade her a 3. Now I'm going to apply the resistance. I'm going to ask my patient to please, I'm going to try to pull your finger down. Don't let me, okay? Resist my movement. 3 plus, 4, and 5. 3 minus is when the patient doesn't have, when they have a little bit over of half of the range of motion. So please move your finger. Okay, she couldn't go all the way. She has more than half of the available range of motion. So I'm going to give her 3 minus.